Hello everyone, how's it going? Thanks a lot, Kenji, for a beautiful introduction. Very happy to be here. I can see you nice and warm. Some of you maybe just woke up. Some bartenders maybe probably just did. Thanks a lot from the guys from La Fleur and Baba Ram, two great, amazing cocktail bars you should definitely visit. All this stuff actually belongs to me. I apologize to clutter the whole stage, but I had to prepare a little bit in advance because I'm going to be talking, yes, a little bit about what my background is, but also our new brand, a little bit about Niger, just a tiny bit. And my company, basically, which is being created with Marian. So, I'm Tony. I've been basically working to Niger for the last 5 years. And I actually got in when Marian and Luca were there, and I was very happy to kind of share time with them and learn from them. Marian, Luca, Martina, Gabriele, all great people there. All of them gave me a lot. Yeah, been in Niger for quite a while. Obviously, the concept has changed a little bit through times. Every year we come up with a very nice new menu, beautiful served. It's obviously not just about garnishes. We do spend a long time searching for particular ingredients, especially beautiful flavors, which we want to translate into the drinks. And flavor is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Original Sip, possibly none of you have heard of this because it's just a very new company which we created, Marian and I together, which wants to source and extract special flavors and tastes from nature. So what we exactly doing is we want to create some particular products which are made for the bar, for the general public, which take care of the flavor as a whole without using too high sugars or artificial flavorings or coloring. We want to start from the very nice raw material and come up with different ways to extract it and translate it into the drink. Just a quick slide. This is obviously not a chemistry lesson, just to have a little laugh. I don't have any background in chemistry, so I'm just going to be talking a little bit of the things maybe I learned through being at the bar, working with particular ingredients and tasting and trying to kind of understand how to better extract flavors. So we're going to be talking a little bit as well about the importance of textures and mouthfeel. So generally when I do this kind of presentation, even if it's 1 hour, I obviously like to showcase, not just talk, I like to showcase maybe a couple of drinks, especially now because we're talking about this particular brand. So I really want to showcase how to use this great product into the drinks in many other different ways. And also I'm going to be making 3 to 4 drinks alongside maybe a couple of different techniques for you to see and maybe apply at the bar, which is quite nice. Yeah? So we're going to be talking obviously about flavor, which is essentially what we really need behind the bar, alongside with great hostings. Flavor, at least in English, there's a big division between taste and flavor. Taste is obviously what you introduce in your mouth and you're able to feel. Flavor is always the conundrum, the big combination between the taste, smell, texture, and expectation. Yeah? We will be going a little bit deeper on this and talking a bit about food pairing as well, because it's very important, obviously, when you create cocktails, when you create products for yourself, you need to know just a tiny bit of the logics behind what it comes to pair flavors and different products. So, flavor extraction, very big challenge generally for bartenders and all. You can find a lot of very different products on the market which are generally maybe starting from an alcoholic product, flavored, colored, sugared, and put on a nice bottle on the shelf. So what we actually gonna, one of the biggest challenges we actually went through is, yes, finding very particular ways to extract those flavors of all the ingredients in order to bring it to the drink, in order to get the most from these ingredients. So we all know, all the bartenders in the audience will know definitely maybe how to extract mint flavor. Let's start maybe from a very simple one. Obviously mint, you approach the ingredients, you look at it, what can it give us, how what is its best state in order to give us that flavor. So am I taking the fresh mint, putting it into alcohol? Am I boiling the fresh mint? Am I maybe dehydrating the fresh mint and extracting through a siphon? So again, we're not going very deep in chemistry, but it's more about the logics, how to apply these logics. How do I get the most from that in order to put it in the drink? How to apply these particular logics to get the best for our customers, for our flavors. Obviously, when we talk about all the products which are around, all the raw materials, we really want to get the best from that state, the peak aroma and taste. So for something like mint, maybe it's a lot easier, though I'm going to want to showcase a couple of other different things that maybe sometimes they use lips behind the bar. No? This, for example, is a particular grain. It's called frekke from Africa. But I'm going to be talking about grains in general, rice, seeds, every sort of thing that maybe you look at it. If you look at rice and you say, what is rice? What's the importance of rice behind the bar? Other than it is something which is dry, raw, and doesn't have at all any flavor. So what we need to start thinking, basically, is how to approach that grain, that rice, in order to make it shine and to make something that could kind of taste nice behind the bar and into a drink. So the first technique, for example, we're going to be seeing. So in order to achieve some nice flavor from it, from this particular grain, we're just going to maybe toast it a little bit. This can be done, yeah, there you go, that's us. This can be done very easily behind the bar. It's obviously a very, very simple technique, but I'm going to show how to actually get something from it, right? We're toasting this grain, this beautiful grain, very, very aromatic grain from Africa. Obviously, on its raw state, tastes like nothing, basically. Tastes like a very hard piece of stuff. Yeah. When doing this on a pan, for example, you look to get the pan as hot as possible. Yeah. There you go. And you need to reach this stage where the grain is very hot. And basically do that. You're going to be able to see a little bit of smoke coming up. You're going to kill that heat which the grain has been put through. So that heat is going to help us through thermal shock, so through a very, very big change of temperature from very hot to cold, to extract those flavors. It's a very easy process. Alcohol is obviously solvent, so allows you to extract those flavors. No? And this can be done very easily at the bar, very, very simple infusion. It can be done on vodka, gin, many different other spirits when you want to introduce some toasty notes, some nice grainy notes. And it can be done very easily at the bar. It doesn't need machinery, a massive preparation time. Just put it on the side. In 10, 15, 20 minutes, it's going to be ready. And that can apply to all grains, all different seeds, or everything. Yeah? So this is when we're talking about finding the right technique. You look at the ingredient, you say, how do I get the best from it? How do I extract? Yeah? Obviously, one of the easiest way to bring flavors into drink at the bar for us is using tincture. Very, very simple process. You take a very a raw material of your choice. You put it in alcohol, 40 degrees, 60 degrees, pure alcohol, whichever you like. A lot of that material, you put it in a jar, you put it on the side. You know, everybody can do that. And I'm sure any of you is doing that at the bar, because obviously you find the very particular ingredients. It's not something maybe you can buy in a liquor form or a bitter form. So what you do, you spend the money for the ingredient, for the base material, and you put it together, and you have it. It's unique. It's in your bar. You can do a lot of different drinks with that. So we're talking classic tinctures, different selection of herbs, roots, spices, flowers. Obviously, every single of those ingredients is going to have a different way to extract this best. Okay? So we're going to be talking a little bit about alcohol infusion and bitters, obviously, because this is the real juice of the day. When we initially approach bitters, there's obviously the long-standing products you find on the market, very, very beautiful products that everybody knows. that allows you essentially to deliver a flavor into a drink in a very easy way. Couple of drops of Angostura, you are adding a lot of spices into a drink, which might generally be starting with simple ingredients, something like an old-fashioned whiskey, sugar, extra spices selection through the bitters. So the bitters is something that obviously came out around centuries ago, and was initially a way for people to heal themselves. It was obviously when 200 years ago, when the water was bad, you're drinking from the river or something, bitter was something you could drink safely because it was generally based on alcohol, and it will give you also the particular properties of all the plants you have extracted in. So yeah, obviously throughout the history, a lot of different styles of bitters came out. Years ago, there were a lot of different bitters that also could kill you. A lot of people didn't know what to put together. They were putting arsenium, all these maybe poisonous herbs, and people will kill. But they will sell the bitters as a way to heal themselves. So there were a lot of different charlatans or fake doctors around. And I'm sure any of you do bitters at the bar, maybe a little bit, maybe something simple. But obviously, when you're approaching bitters, you're talking, okay, I'm taking a few different spices. I choose the spices. I want to make it more floral, maybe more cinnamon, cloves, cassia driven. And the first thing you do is you take all these things, you put them together, you put them in a jar, you leave them for a week, and then you try. You try what comes out. And 90% of the times, obviously, that is possibly the worst way to do. Because eventually you're going to be, I don't know, trying something which is very strong in cinnamon, or you only feel the cloves, I don't feel any of this, any of that. So I'll just maybe show a quick, maybe I'll mention a few tips if you want to make your bitters in your own bar. I've seen there's a lot of different trends in bitter. This is something maybe was trendy a couple of years ago, and everybody was doing their orange bitter. Everybody was doing their maybe simple bitter, but obviously the process is very particular. It's not very constant. The flavor is not always there. So, for example, one of the easiest thing you could do if you want to make your own bitter at the bar, very easily, you start very quickly, very simply, by buying different bitter brands and putting them together. You can trust these products. You put them together in different balances. You take a bit of Angostura, 1 part of Angostura, 2 parts of orange bitters, and you've done maybe your own particular orange bitter. And you can create maybe a base of bitters then you can use on daily basis, and it's going to be constant, it's going to be the same flavor. You're using 100 mils of this, 50 mils of that, it's never going to change. These are very trustable products. And why do you want to do homemade? Because obviously you want to bring something new and nice, new flavors into the drinks, something unique for your customer as well. You don't need to go crazy, but when the drink has got the right flavor, obviously customer receives very well. So we're talking of putting this together, and why not? You want to make your lavender bitters, for example. You have your lavender tincture, which has been made beforehand, and you put it together with your bitter base, because obviously for bitter, you need to have that bitter element. So instead of throwing there gentian, you never know how it's going to taste, how bitter it gets. You make your base, and you add your tincture, and that is made your homemade lavender bitter. Very, very simply. Many times we are kind of a little bit blindfolded and maybe focused on names or things, especially when it comes to Amaros and Vermouth. I'm sure you all use them at the bar. What's an Amaro, in a way? I'm not talking about the lows and the actual definition of it. I think of Amaro, for example, as just a longer version of a bitter. When you introduce sugar, it's a little bit more diluted, but essentially it's what it is. Alcohol, extraction of herbs, with a bit of sugar. So, from, for example, your Angostura, you can definitely easily make your Amaro. You choose your own base. Maybe you want to do mezcal-based Amaro. So you got some smokiness into it, you got the spices, and that it is, your homemade, beautiful Amaro, which is very unique to your place. And I can easily maybe show this with a little experiment. You all use vermouth. How much is a bottle of vermouth here? Is it maybe let's just not stop on that. Obviously, vermouth is generally very cheap. What we can get in UK, for example, where I'm working at, a bottle of vermouth could vary from the £7 to the 15, which is very similar to euros now. So think of 7 to 15 euros. Obviously, better Amaros, better quality ingredients, they go a little bit more expensive. But you can definitely, or I think at least, I hope nobody takes it bad, you can definitely make a much better product of what you find on the shelf, possibly, by yourself, just using things you have around at the bar. You need to think that you approach a bottle of vermouth that maybe costs you £7, €7, and you need to think, what's in this bottle? How much money is spent for the base wine, for the spices? How much money is spent for the bottle, of the packaging, of the shipping? There's obviously a lot of costs that these companies go through. So why not, in 5 minutes, to make a very, very quick Amaro vermouth you can do at the bar. Maybe you have a bottle of house wine lying around, which is a little bit oxidized. It's been open for a few days. So we're starting with maybe a wine base. Here you go. Obviously, we need some sugar, so we're just adding a splash of simple syrup. What else do we need to make it a vermouth? We need two different things. One is obviously the spices, which you have. Everybody has spices in a liquid form behind the bar. There we go. And to really make it a vermouth, you obviously need the introduction of wormwood, of Artemisia, which, again, most of you generally have the bar under the form of absinthe. Yep, just a little splash to give those beautiful aniseed flavors. And this is how you can easily come up with your own vermouth. And I trust, obviously, when I generally do this, maybe it's a bit in a smaller room, I can pass ingredients around, but maybe I'll leave it here on the side for you to try later, so you can really see, is this better or worse than many of the other vermouths I can find on the shelf? And I can say, you definitely find a little bit more tasty, and obviously it's been made by you in a very short time, and you can do it easily at the bar. You know? Yeah, so this was just a little way to show you a lot of times we care about what says on the label, you know. It's not always really like that. Look at the color of that. I'm choosing maybe a very, very good Cabernet Sauvignon Shiraz base, and I'm making my own vermouth. I can introduce some other flavors. I can make sake-based vermouth, sherry vermouth, introduce some lavender, some pine. So obviously that's going to be a very unique product just for yourself, just at the bar for yourself. Nobody's going to have it. If the customer wants to have a Manhattan with piney sake vermouth, it needs to come to you. With that, let's just jump to electric bitter. Obviously, when you talk about these different ways of extraction, this is where basically all our knowledge went together, or our trial. Because obviously, again, I'm not a chemist. My wife is a chemist, so I have a little bit of a step ahead. But this is where we put together our knowledge to find the real best product. The idea comes from Marian Beckett 10 years ago, back in Montgomery Place. And we've been using this bitter Niger for quite a lot. We've been doing it all the time in Niger for different drinks. Every menu there was a particular different drinks. It all starts with this beautiful product, which is the Szechuan button. That is essentially a little flower. As you can see, it looks like a daisy, very innocent. Many of you might have tried this, many of you not. Anybody tried this? Yeah? There you go, Sandra. So it's getting very common initially through chefs. Obviously, now pretty much everybody knows it in London, where we're from, because it gives you a very, very unique sensation on your tongue. If you never tried it, it's not a flavor. It is a flavor. There is a few different flavors, but it's also a very unique sensation. You can think of chili. It's a spiciness, but it's not just a spiciness. It basically makes your tongue vibrate. Yeah? That's why the electricity. That's why we connect it with the electricity, with the battery, with the light bulb. Yeah? It's sold as this xylitol, which is the molecule inside. It's essentially a natural flavor enhancer, okay, like monosodium glutamate, MSG, that people put in Asian plates. It actually allows you to expand the flavors because it stays on your tongue and it keeps the flavors there. So obviously, thought on a cocktail way, on a drinking way, you put this particular product into your drink, and your drink is somehow going to taste better because it's going to expand those flavors and make them stay on your tongue for longer. When you talk about, for example, spirits, we're talking about the length of a spirit. If you try a very good quality whiskey, it's got a very good length, a good punch. When that whiskey taste stays in your mouth for long, that's generally a very good example of quality, obviously, and concentration of flavors. This particular couple of words about the flower is being used originally from the original Amazonian forest, particularly from Peru, one side of Peru. And it's been used for centuries. They've been using it for headache, for antiseptic. It kills bacteria as well. So it's got beautiful, beautiful medicinal properties. It's like a homemade remedy, a grandma's remedy for toothache. Yeah. And it's also, since this particular sensation, tea masters use water infused with these flowers while they're doing their sessions. They're tasting different teas. In order to cleanse their palate, they drink this water with the Szechuan button. Yeah? Our particular Szechuan button comes from this massive, massive grower in Holland. They're the top in their business. They grow all those microcrests. Yeah, I have a few examples here of beautiful, beautiful products. Not sure if you get them here in the Ukrainian market, but there's great, great products they do, and they're directed to chefs and bartenders. This is, for example, is a leaf of the cardamom plant. So obviously, you're thinking of cardamom, it's a little seed, but this is a leaf, so you can actually introduce an aromatic level into drinks. Just maybe simply, I don't know, just adding it as a garnish on it, or a nice champagne cocktail, the aroma comes up, you get close to your nose, beautiful, beautiful cardamom aromas. Yeah? They do all these particular products, very, very advanced, very, very beautiful flavors. Yeah? I'm going to leave them on the side if someone of you in a bit wants to have a look and taste and smell, because this is really what we generally love as bartenders. We love the, yes, staying with people, enjoying the time, but also we love the flavors. We love the drink and to taste and to smell. Yeah, they have massive greenhouse facility. This is a sustainable company. What does it mean? They never really waste what they do. They grow all these different seeds in these greenhouses, very futuristic. Yeah, looks like a discotheque. And whatever they cannot use, they either burn. For example, the flowers we use, we get them freshly picked, and they're the flowers that generally are not fit for sale. So the little ugly flower, they don't throw it away. They sell the nice looking one. The ugly one, I take it and I make a nice infusion of it, basically. A little bit about the rest of the ingredients. Obviously, we're talking about, I believe at the moment we are at 35 different ingredients in the bitter, because obviously you don't just want that sensation. You want the bitters to have the side of bitterness, the herbal notes, the lemony, citrus grass notes. And these are a little bit of the more particular one. Tasmanian berry comes from Australia. Some of you might have tried. It's a little berry, like a blueberry, that when it dries, it becomes very spicy. So it's got, by itself, it's got these beautiful spicy berry notes. Yeah? Wasabi, root, just the fresh root. There's one company in UK, they sell this wasabi like gold, basically. It's super expensive, but it's the real deal. You get the root, you can grate it into your drinks. You know, finger root, galangal are two different roots from the same family of ginger. So you got that gingery, but they're a little bit more particular, a little bit more hearty, spicy, very interesting. I'm going to leave it around for you to see and try if you haven't yet. Yeah, so obviously we're talking about very, very particular ingredients, which are all singularly extracted. Every single ingredient of these 35 has got a singular extraction through particular different methods, which you see here. Yeah, we're talking of three main methods. One It's an infusion research. We talk about it because this plant is going to infuse in a way, maybe one day 50% alcohol. This one needs 7 days, 96% alcohol. So obviously we need to go through a panel of 50 different tastings in order to find the perfect one. Yeah, you really need to find the perfect ratio and all. Micro sous vide distillation is something I think we only do because we actually came out with this. You are essentially blending your ingredient with alcohol in a bottle. You know sous vide. You use sous vide at the bar, I'm assuming. You don't fill the bottle to the top, so there's ingredient and alcohol. You put it into the water bath, closed bottle, and what you create is essentially a kind of a micro distillation inside. Perfectly as 70 degrees, alcohol starts to evaporate, falls down again, evaporate and falls down, because this part is in contact with the air. So that's a micro distillation. Last one is rotary evaporation. Obviously, every spice is going to have its own best way. Very quickly about the usage, it goes into drops, so you can add it as a spice booster, then introducing that flavor, that sensation more and more. Obviously, it's a very complex spice mix. Yeah, sorry, please. Yeah, we're going to start making 4 drinks in total. First one, it's one of our first one we made. It's an Edison Margarita. So we're talking very simply of showcasing this bitter into different classics because it applies with every sort of spirit, tequila, gin, rum, whiskey, very aged spirits or unaged spirits. It works very well with all. Yep. Just very, very quickly, I'm going to show you the first, maybe easiest way to use it. Obviously, drop it inside. Now I'm going 4, I can go 6. You want to make my signature electric drink, I'll go a few more drops, yeah? Just gonna chill quickly the glass. Doesn't need to be ice cold. I was not expecting that. So yes, the drink part is obviously the most simple. We're talking about margarita. You can see I added a couple of different products. One of them is buku leaf, which I love. It's a beautiful, beautiful leaf from the South Africa, which has these very amazing minty flavors and sort of passion fruit aromas as well. Okay, so we're making a simple margarita, maybe just a little garnish. Yeah, that kind of recalls the citrus, obviously. There you go. And the way we introduce electric bitters can be done in 2 ways, because this is a very versatile sort of bitter. So you can drop it on the top. Actually, when you drop it like this, you float it, for example, in a martini. It's much easier to get that sensation straight on your lips. So you can either drop it or atomize it on the side. When you do that, obviously the guest is going to have to drink it from one of these sides eventually, and he's going to get that beautiful sensation. Very surprised. You're looking for the surprise on the guest, obviously. Yeah. Nice little garnish we like to do with Marian. It's this little bitters gun that kind of resembles a lime wedge in a way, and we put it on the side. So you're adding also the playful element into the drinks, because this is what the guest wants. Guest comes at the bar because he wants to enjoy, have a laugh, and play with friends. So you can shoot it into the drink directly in your mouth to kind of enhance, increase that sensation. Yeah? I'm going to leave it on the side for you to try. And there we go. That was a very, very quick example of, you see, it's already 3 ways. You drop it inside, you drop it on top. It's already a different sensation. You atomize it. You add something little playful garnish like this. And obviously, it's not just a margarita everybody can have. It's something a little bit more interesting. And those flavors, even if, simple kind of flavors, straight flavors of a margarita can stay in your mouth for a lot longer. So you are improving. You can improve your classics. You can make an electric Negroni or an electric Martini very, very easily. So you're introducing spices and sensation. Bim. Okay. Big research of us was also about aromas, because obviously aromas is one of those, when we talk about garnishes, aromas, it's always for us an extra ingredient. It's not just something you put there to look cool or something you put there because you want to have a nice chat. It's also a talking point, but it has to be an extra ingredient, so it has to connect with the rest of the ingredients in the drink. Aroma is also expectation. Maybe we'll make a quick demonstration. When we're talking, I don't know, the drink comes to your table with a smoking pine nut, for example, with a smoking, pine cone. You already know that drink, you already feel the smell. We can maybe play around with different smokes we have. So just by adding some aromatic elements, for example, on the bottom of the glass, maybe in a simpler drink. This is, for example, I'm using patchouli leaves. Patchouli is generally used for perfumery, in perfumery. So you make sure it burns very well. Yeah, and when this goes through the room, obviously everybody in the bar is gonna smell this, you know? It gets to the table, the expectation of the guest already is enhanced very much because he's expecting, you smell this very, very beautiful warm aroma. Some of you is going to be able to smell it as well because it's very powerful. Beautiful warm aroma, you create a little unique extra sensation for the guests, a little bit of cinema as well, that's what you need. The drinks come to the bar, smoke going around, everybody turning around, what is this? Which is very nice. Different other ways, for example, you might have seen a lot of times when somebody is adding, I don't know, a ribbon on the side of the glass, which, at least, I'm talking about the bar where I work in Niger, everything, all the garnishes you see, we don't want to be recognized for the garnishes, because all the garnishes you see, they always have a purpose. They're taste is something you can generally eat alongside with the drink and introduce some fattiness, maybe, increase your taste, your flavors. When you see a ribbon, it's not just something that looks nice, it's obviously a carrier. So through a little atomizer, you're going to spray that ribbon. Guest doesn't know. This drink gets to the table, okay, maybe nice picture, beautiful, Instagrammable if you say, but whenever you're gonna touch that ribbon, unconsciously, obviously, that essential oils is gonna stay on your hands. And since essential oils are very, very strong generally, even when you wash your hands, they don't really go away. So the guest is gonna get home, maybe gets a whiff of those essential oils, and it's gonna remind the experience. So we're obviously talking about the beautiful memory he had or the beautiful night. So this is a couple of little introductions on aroma. Maybe we can also show a drink where aroma is a very, very important part of it. And I'm using my favorite glass, which reminds me the beautiful light bulb design we found. Yeah, this is a drink which I like to think like a Martinet style sort of thing. It's all about Spanish flavors. We're talking on Nordes gin, which is this very aromatic, almost orange blossomy gin, not very junipery, very, very aromatic gin from Spain, from Galicia. The same house does these beautiful aromatic vermouths with wine which is grown, obviously grapes which are grown in the island, so really a lot about the wine base. Hierba de las Dunas is made by a Michelin star chef. It's a liquor made by a Michelin star chef in Holland. The same ways he's growing his herb behind his restaurant, the same ways in Ibiza they grow herbs on the sand dunes. So herbs will get very salty, very potent and concentrated. Yeah, they're in touch with the seawater all the time. There you go. So I pre-made them here just for an easier way to showcase it. So it's almost like a martinez, I like to think. Just a bit of a fresh lime. And we give it a quick stir. So also, we're talking about electric beater, which is going to introduce. I always like to connect the garnish a little bit with what it is in the drink, always trying to make it a little bit fun as well. So what we're going to do in terms of garnish here, which we really love, is this. Particular, it kind of looks like a light bulb. Obviously, you cannot see it now. It's super shiny up here on the stage. But if you see this on the in the dark, like generally some speakeasy bars or this, it's going to make a nice light. So it makes a lot of sense for me, this light bulb shape. Yep. There we go. But we're talking really about aromas. So I'm not going to be introducing aroma in this drink, for example, through the ways of smoke, because smoke is generally very dense, very thick sort of a smell. Obviously, when you're talking about maybe lighter aromas, when you're burning rose petals, yeah, you get a little bit of rose, but mainly smoke that hits your nose, you know, very heavy. So if you're putting in a nice, light, aromatic drink like this, obviously maybe you're going to kill a little bit of those aromas, especially if I'm introducing smoke here. First thing you get, smoke on your nose. That's going to kind of blindfold, get you kind of nose blinded. So I found this little way. This is a very, very cheap way, which I like to use at the bar and I like to show, because it's not always about having the latest machinery and all. This, maybe you can see it this way. I can show it to you. It's an e-cigarette. Yeah? Everybody knows what an e-cigarette is. Some of you use it, some of you don't. But just adding a little pump to an e-cigarette, you can actually also make your own e-liquid. Yeah? So what's generally inside the cigarette? It's based on glycerin and essential oil. Yeah? Everybody can do it. You buy glycerin, which is alcohol-derived sugar, and essential oil. And I like to use this, and I like to showcase this because it's a very, very simple way to make a vapor out of anything you like. So I took electric bitters, I reduced, the alcohol is gone, just mix it with glycerin. I made my own liquid inside, and what I'm gonna do is simply just gonna introduce sort of that. Actually works very well. You can see how deep it can get. Introduce sort of the aroma on top, and we're just gonna cap it off with a nice little garnish. Yeah, this is a nice, beautiful edible garnish, for example, which is gonna have. It's a little cup made of a pastry, essentially. It's a bit savory, and it's been smoked as well. So you can put something sweet on top. You create a beautiful contrast in smoke. Yeah, that goes. You can see how long it lasts. Goes to the bar, beam, gets capped off, and the aroma is still there. And the first thing your expectation of the drink taste, first thing you're gonna smell, first thing you're gonna get is the right one. Yeah, I like this beautiful glass. So again, very easily, see, introducing aromas, very cheap way. You don't need 200 pounds, 200 euros of machinery, you know? You need probably 10, which is also something. A lot of people generally, when I go around in different countries, a lot of people say, oh yeah, you talk about these things, but you know, we don't have this machinery, we don't have these ingredients. But again, if you think a little bit with your lateral thinking, you can actually come up with some different solution, even with few dollars, few euros. Quick thing, obviously we were talking about textures before. Texture, if you talk with a chef, generally it's obviously a very, very important side of it, because textures is essentially a sense. Whatever thickness you feel in your mouth is also changing whatever you feel. It's not just sweet, sour, bitter. So important or different kind of textures at the bar, and obviously in this case, on an electric bitter key. So again, another little way to maybe showcase how these products, these beautiful products, can be used. And okay, so you got many different style of textures. Obviously, some of you might know this. Does any of you use this at the bar? This is an aquarium pump, okay, to make airs. Yeah, somebody does it with a hand blender. This is something which is sold by a Spanish chef, which made his own company of particular tools. But you can buy anywhere. You can buy on Amazon for maybe 20 euros. Air pump, it goes on batteries. You switch it on, air is going to come out of here, yeah? Air, in a form of bubbles. So, some of you use it, of course, by using lecithin or different hydrocolloids or different powders. You can make an air and just float it on the top of the drink. And that's also an aromatic purpose, a texture purpose as well, because you're going to change. You make your own, very famous, I don't know, from the Connaught bar. They had this Bloody Mary, this like straight up Bloody Mary with a celery air on top, you know? That was one of the first introduction of air into the drinks. And obviously, they say, when you talk about a celery in a Bloody Mary, you generally take your celery, so you put it on the side. Somebody just leave it there, somebody eats it. In order to make sure you eat that celery or you have it, you're going to have it in an air form on top. And it's also going to introduce some salinity, some sodium, yeah? This is one of the most common elements to introduce textures. There's a lot of different powders you can buy. These are the more chef ones, a little bit more chemical. These are the more easy, maybe, to talk about, because essentially are extracted proteins, okay? In this case, we got peanut butter protein. Extracted proteins, you can find it anywhere in health shops or bodybuilders shops, you know, whey, egg white protein. Very easy to find. You can use this instead of eggs, for example. Instead, if they don't allow you to use eggs at the bar, you use a similar powder like this. It's going to add texture into the drink. You can make a whiskey sour, peanut butter flavored whiskey sour, by introducing this beautiful powder very easily, and it's going to have a nice, amazing foam. Yeah, different oils, different fats. Everybody heard of fat washing in the bar world, obviously. So many different ways. I'm just going to proceed with maybe the next drink. All the drinks you're going to see, they have a particular electric theme on it, as you can see. So this is very easy to do. In this case, it's based on whiskey, so I can showcase the usual electric bitter in whiskey drinks too. Today we're going to make a nice sparkling drink with the use of electric bitter. Generally, sparkling drinks are the ones that mostly use when we talk about aromas. Obviously, the bubbles carry the aroma of the drinks. They come up, they blow just in front of your nose, and you can smell the drink right before you taste it, you know? That expectation there. So, now a little champagne glass. Going to be very cold but nicely dried, yeah? We're going to use another very common technique, which is called the crasta, which means making a powder, aromatic powder, putting it on the side of the glass, which is able to introduce taste and smell, because you're going to go close to it, you smell, you taste, and obviously, again, give you that sort of expectation. Maybe in a better way. This is, for example, a glaze, because we're talking about texture. A glaze are made out of electric bitters. Again, concentrated on a base of... Do you guys have liquid marshmallows here? Marshmallow fluff is called. It's a liquid marshmallow used for pastry. Yeah? So you just mix it with maybe a nice liqueur or a nice bitters you like, and you can create a glaze which can be kind of brushed on the side. That glaze is also going to allow you to stick, even on a cold glass, a nice aromatic crasta. Okay? So you got the glaze, they go directly to your palate, to your taste. some aromatic crustas going on. This can be done even on a cold, hot glass. Maybe I can show you a little bit here. Yeah. You're going to be able to stick on the side. And obviously in this case, the only part that sticks is the one which is wet, where the glaze is. So you create another extra visual element for your guests. Drink comes to the table, it looks very beautiful. It tastes, it smells amazing as well. I'll do a few quick rolls. We don't really need much rolling before it comes to it. Yeah. There you go. Finish it up with a touch of bubbles. This is Prosecco in this case. It can be anything else. And you're going to have this beautiful aromatic glaze, which is also electric, yeah? Thank you, thank you. And maybe, again, talking about texture, another little technique which I love, because it can be made everywhere, anywhere. Around the bar, you don't need big machinery, you don't need a fridge. You just need very, very easy to purchase ingredients. In this case, we made a drink we kind of remind sangria, okay? Sangria obviously generally a wine-based drink. This particular one is indeed based on something similar that's very, very tannic. So it's got that same sensation on your mouth when you drink a nice full-bodied red wine, you know? So also the serve in a nice wine glass, it gets all this beautiful effect, which I love. It's called iridescent. But yeah, the ingredients is aronia juice. Aronia is a berry from North America. You can buy the juice, it's like a superfood. Okay, it's not very expensive. You can buy 3 liters for maybe 15 euros. And it's like a non-alcoholic wine in a way. It's got beautiful berry flavors, tannic, sour, but it's non-alcoholic. So, just in this case, we started with the Copperhead Gibson edition. Have you tried the Copperhead Gibson edition before? Great gin, which is made by these Belgian distillers, Copperhead, alongside with Marian from the Gibson. So obviously he came out, since his particular concept are pickles, he came out with this gin, which is almost like a pickle gin. But it's not like a sour gin, obviously it's got pickles botanical. The botanicals you generally use when you make pickles, so the classic, I think there's about 14 to 15 different botanicals here. So, what I really wanted to show is actually talking about foams, air, and all this. A nice little froth, which I like to make with this machine. Some of you might have seen it before, but this is a beautiful way to maybe bring some flavor into drinks, but also reuse some ingredients you have around the bar. Maybe this Prosecco has been open last night, it's got flat, you don't want to throw it away. What do? You don't obviously throw it in the bin because it's been paid for, obviously. And by your knowledge, you can definitely be able to make something. Maybe you made a vermouth out of it, or maybe you made something a bit more particular, like I'm going to show now. So we're using flat Prosecco, so for example. This one's got a bit of bubble still, because it's been open a few hours ago, but with flat Prosecco. And I like to introduce some extra flavor. So obviously this is going to be a bit tart, and it's going to top off our drink. We're talking about texture. It's going to be a nice little fluffy foam on top, yeah, of our drink. And when you do these sort of things, the easiest way to introduce other flavors, for example, in terms of fruit, is to dry them, okay? To dehydrate them, you can create beautiful dry kumquat, for example, here, which are very shiny. They stay at the bar forever. You know, you don't throw them away. Things like flowers, you can dehydrate flowers with different techniques as well. So whatever you pay for doesn't go in the bin, obviously. Raspberries, in this case, is one of those fruits that really go off quite quick. They get soft. You don't use them anymore. Why not? You actually make a nice dehydration and you powderize. You make a powderized raspberry foam. So I'm quickly going to proceed. Quickly proceeding with our drink. You're going to see the beautiful color that comes out of this particular glass, you know. Top it up with a little ice. A tiny bit of garnishing, which I love. Introducing, for this example, this is dry pomelo. And some little savory element, yeah? When you do garnishes, just a quick tip, it's very important to create a contrast, okay? Contrast between colors and between flavors. So eventually this is a dehydrated pomelo, which has been poached, so it's like a candy pomelo. Pomelo, you know, it's a kind of citrus. And it's going alongside with very beautiful white, going alongside with some peanut, smoked bacon peanuts, yeah? So you're creating a contrast between the sweet, the savory, the smoky, but also between the colors. You see, on a white background, the colors stand up a lot more. There's like 3 main colors we use at the bars. I like to call them like primary colors, which are generally the yellow, the red, and the green. At the bar, I'm talking. So by creating a contrast between these 3 colors, you always can create a nice garnish that doesn't need to be a salad on your drink, but it creates a good effect. You know, you can definitely see it. So, just gonna introduce. Do you know this machine? Have you seen before? This little guy here. It's a little pump which is used very common in a Mediterranean country. Let's say it's used to make the foam for cappuccinos. Yeah. So cappuccino foamer. And what you're gonna do is just, creating a foam of something a bit different through the use of egg white powder, which I have here in this beautiful container. So egg white powder is something super cheap. It's albumin, super cheap. You can find anywhere. Okay. If you want to substitute the fresh egg you use into drinks, if some people have a problem with that, especially in different countries like Italy, a lot of people don't want to see raw egg, fresh egg. You use the powder. You can buy it at a bodybuilder shop for 5 kilos, 6 pounds or something like that. Very, very cheap, and actually allows you to create, by a bit of mashing, your foam on the spot, yeah? So what we're gonna do is just float this little foam on top. And why not? We can add an extra ingredient in your drink. You can add maybe electric bitter, and you're gonna have an electric foam, which again stays right away on your tongue. And I like to serve this without the straw, because obviously you want to have a sip of the foam, which goes together with the rest of the drink. Yeah? So think of it, your electric foam, Prosecco, raspberry flavored electric foam, which are made in 2 minutes, and you can make it in any bar without any sort of machinery. Very, very easy way to carry texture. Texture is going to stay in your mouth, it's going to stay there with all the rest of the flavors of the drink. It's just going to coat your palate. This is a little bit like fats. Are used in kitchen. You use a fat, it stays on your tongue, it stays on your palate, and the flavors stay there, yeah? Flavors on the dish stay there. Nice little garnishino. Yeah. You can put it on the side. So, bit of raspberry powder on top, again for the aromatic purposes. Or again, maybe you can, just different approach, you can burn. This is like burning citrus, caramelized citrus. And again, you have another aroma going on. So very, very different ways, yeah? This is just for very simple drink that now we came out, just to showcase the very, very easy way to use electric bitters in your drink. It's not just something you drop in, it also has a lot going on in the back, obviously. Yeah. I'll show you a couple of others, vessels which we designed. This, for example, is made by 3D printing. Very, very cool little guy. Obviously, again, it's not like we are not taking seriously the actual drinking experience, because guests, again, wants to have fun. Something like this gets to your table. What you see there is the buds button. Obviously, this particular vessel has a hole on the back where you can pour the drink, and you just safely put the straw. And it comes to your table. Obviously, everybody's laughing. That's the garnish, the little, I don't know how to use a pointer, the little flower there. You eat the flower first, and this is what it comes up, you know. So again, another little laugh. You be with your friends, and you have fun. But also to kind of associate the fun with brands. It's not just about serious bartending and all. It has to be fun. Has to be approachable. This is another one you're going to like, which we made for Cooperet Gin, which is a Belgian brand, so obviously the mannequin piece, like little vessel. Again, somebody might take at least a little bit too far, you know, but it's fun. I see you all laughing. Customer, 90% of the customer are generally going to appreciate. I think I'm pretty much done. I'm just going to generally finish my presentation with a little video of what the different vessels we do, different serves we do, and Niger. If you go a couple of spare minutes, shall I put it on? Yep. There you go. This guy, some of you might have seen. Yeah. Thanks a lot for everything. I hope you had a little fun, a little couple of things you can maybe do at the bar, and buy the bitters, yeah? Please. All right. I'll give it up for the next, yeah. Just gonna need a few minutes to pack up everything, yeah? That's gonna be okay.
All right, let's hear it for the mad genius that is Tony Pescatori!
Thank you, thank you.